I'm open to every possibility because this is a co-creation by the universe. So no obligations going forward. You are not obligated to go do that task. You are not obligated to make that decision. You have the luxury, you have the privilege to sit and think about that decision before you make the decision. That is a privilege. You get to sit in stillness before. I think that's the real deal. What's up? What's happening? It's Jasiah, and today I want to talk about free will. And let me scoot up so you can hear me a little better. But free will is beautiful. Can you believe, as humans, we are gifted free will? We are gifted the ability to make our own decisions and choose what it is exactly what we are going to accomplish by utilizing that ability of being able to decide and choose in every second what version of ourselves we're going to feed, but also what actions we are going to put in order to get closer to the desired life that we are working towards. 55 on the timer as I said that. So it comes blazing fast when we align the version of ourselves that we are with where we want to go. That's what I believe, and that's what I believe because to think of it in an aspect of zooming out and looking at our life from a whole, from when we were first born and conceived into this world, we have always had free will. We have always had the ability to make our decisions. Now, a lot of the times when we make these decisions and we decide to choose certain lifestyles or we decide to choose certain habits or patterns or mindsets, they come from a space of trauma. These mindsets, these perspectives, and these habits tend to be rooted from trauma. And so we're making these decisions, we're making these choices from a space of trauma. And that's completely okay because that's a part of the journey as well, right? But it's knowing that when you are making these decisions, you are making these choices out of trauma, then the only perpetuating cycle, the only perpetuating lifestyle that you will live is a lifestyle of trauma. So it is so important to look at yourself and ask yourself, what is it that I don't resonate with? What is it that I don't want to embody anymore? Who is it that I do want to embody? But that is so uncomfortable. And I say that because I've been on a journey of finding out myself. Every day I still am figuring out, and I don't like to say figuring out, but I'm finding out more about myself. I'm starting to learn more about me. And I say this to say that free will is amazing, and I'm so grateful to have free will. But a lot of the times we tend to not truly have free will because we may be able to decide, we may be able to have these choices, but we are subconsciously making these choices from limiting places. We are making these choices and these decisions from limiting standpoints, from limiting perspectives because, excuse me, there's like a fly right here, but it's knowing that we have free will, but the true free will comes when we are able to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, are who are we? When we're able to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves the real genuine question of who am I and where do I want to go? And as cliche as that sounds, there's no possible way that we can get to where we want to go if we don't even know where we're going. So free will becomes useless when we are allowing an old version of ourselves that is operating from trauma, that is operating from lack, that is operating from a place in a space that is completely not where we want to go. And we're making those decisions from that place of trauma. If I'm making decisions from a place of trauma and lack, how can I ever expect to get to the abundance? How can I ever expect to just simply be able to experience a different contrast of life? And uh, free will is not free will if it is your traumatic version of yourself operating and making those decisions and making those choices. And I say this because, again, it is so uncomfortable to look at the version of ourselves that we don't want to look at. Like, I don't want to look at the parts of me that I don't like, because I don't like them for a reason. But in order for me to love the part of myself that I just don't even want to look at, I must face it. And that is difficult. But in the end of it all, it's knowing that we cannot continue to run away from our identity. And it's so important that we don't run away from our identity, because if we sit with ourselves and we ask ourselves who we want to become, where do we want to go, we are able to genuinely have and exercise free will, because then we're able to operate and make decisions and choices from a space of not trauma, not past versions of ourselves that are completely different from where we want to go. If I want to be abundant, if I want to be completely, no, I don't want to say completely healed, because healing is a journey that is lifelong and everlasting. But if I want to no longer perpetuate the same cycles of trauma and the same cycles of lack that I grew up in, then it's having to sit in the discomfort of the lack, of the, there goes the wind. It's having to sit in the uncomfortability of the lack, of the trauma, because in me sitting in it, in me being able to just really look at it and know that unfortunately this is my current reality, I'm able to then flip it and tell myself, fortunately, I have free will. So I don't care how long it takes for me to work through these difficult cycles of trauma and lack. I will see the other side of it. And I see the other side of it. I'm on the other side of it. Physically, don't ask me. But spiritually, mentally, I have met the versions of myself that were very uncomfortable to meet. I think that because my environment is not able to, live in that reality that I desire, does not mean that I convince myself that I can't live it as well. So just because my environment is not actively embodying and living the reality that I desire, does not mean that I convince myself that I'm not able to get the reality that I desire. Because just because I have not been exposed to it does not mean that it doesn't exist, and I know that. Now, I'm going to loop this back into free will, because obligations, having been on this side of the spectrum when it comes to lack versus abundance, I now know that the most abundant energy or feeling that I have been able to embody lately has been no obligations. There is no obligation. I don't wake up and say that I need to do this one thing. I need to complete this task. I wake up and I tell myself that I love to be able to do this so that this can be the outcome. I love that I can set up the camera and talk about how I feel, and the outcome is reaching others who are able to hear me. That is what I love to do. I don't feel like I have to go and record a video today and then it's mandatory that I do it because I have a goal of wanting to become a YouTuber. That's the complete difference in perspective will quite literally change what we perceive as free will. The perspective we hold will change the energy that we are able to embody. So if I'm sitting in a space where I'm able to know that It is a blessing. It is a privilege that I'm able to use my voice to speak on how I feel rather than feeling obligated to have to make videos, to have to speak. I know it's such a simple comparison, but if you take this comparison and you apply it to all parts of your life, it's knowing that your perspective does matter, because your perspective is what will be the embodiment of energy. I have this perspective that I want to create these videos, not I have to create these videos. I get to create these videos so I can get closer to the desired goal of becoming who I want. Not I have to create these videos because I have to become a YouTuber. And you see how I very loosely said I get to create these videos so I can get to where I want, because I may be creating these videos for YouTube to release them on YouTube, but I'm open to any possibility. I'm open to every possibility because this is a co-creation by the universe. So no obligations going forward. You are not obligated to go do that task. You are not obligated to make that decision. You have the luxury, you have the privilege to sit and think about that decision before you make the decision. That is a privilege. You get to sit in stillness before you make a decision and you make a choice. Not everybody has the ability to make a choice. Not everybody has the ability to make a decision and have time to think about it, have time to work through the decision, through the choices, through the factors that they want to compare and contrast in order to make the decision. It is a luxury to be able, 1144, it is a luxury to be able to sit in a decision, to sit in a choice, and to ask yourself, which way do I decide to go? Which choice do I decide to make? That is a luxury. And so it's being able to know that we want that luxury. We will continue to embody that luxury of being able to think about a decision, to be able to think of a choice, and to appreciate that we have that moment to sit and reflect on which way we would like to go. And in that moment, it's so important that we utilize the perspective of knowing that we are not obligated to nothing. We do not have to make a decision. We do not have to make a choice. To decide to not to decide is a choice. I don't have to make a choice. I don't have to make a decision. I can just exist. And that in itself is a decision. And you know what that is deciding? That's deciding that I have the luxury to relax, that I have the luxury to rest, that I have the luxury to receive. And I'm working through it myself. I'm saying it so confidently because I know that this is the version of myself that I have to embody. Because what's the alternative? The other version of myself that is lacking, that believes that I have to make a decision and a choice in every waking moment. No, that is survival, honey. I can relax. I can relax. I can rest and I can receive. Just as much as I'm able to do it, you are able to do it as well. It's all a perspective. It's all a mindset. It's all an experience of life. Why can't you completely destroy the box and decide that there are no obligations in this life? It is only what I find to feel fulfilling. It is only what I decide is worthy of my time. That is the only obligation I have. The only obligation I have is to create a life that I love to live. And so if that is the only obligation I have to myself, then it's knowing that one single factor that will be able to cultivate that life that I desire to live, that I love, is free will. I get to decide every day. I have the luxury of being able to make my own decisions and my choice to create my own life. Free will is such a beautiful privilege that we have, that we need to appreciate by exercising it more, and not exercising it in a place of not being the version of ourselves we want to be. We can't make free will if we are making these decisions and choices from a past traumatic version of ourselves that is operating in lack and operating in one that is not where we want to go. To have genuine free will is to create a life where we make these decisions, where we make these choices from a space of where we truly want to go, where we truly will feel fulfilled. And if you don't know that, that's completely okay. But know that Know what you don't want, at least. Know what you won't settle for. It's a start, because in knowing what you won't settle for, you can then ask yourself the other side of the contrast. If I don't want this, what is the alternative to this? Okay, then that's what I want. I'm just another human living an experience. So take what I say lightly or take it to heart. But know that this is my experience and it works for me. So I would love to share my experience with others and my perspective with others, because we are all humans. We are all not alone. Why can't we be there for each other? I want to be there for you. I got you. You're good. But yeah, I didn't even really want to film this video, to be honest. And in the beginning, there was a lot of turmoil, like a little bit of sound in the background. Hopefully, it's not too loud. But anyways, that was the side. That was a side note. That was a side note. But yes, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. That's it. That's what we're here for. And but I'm not done. I'm not done. I'm done with this video. This thought. But I will talk to you very soon. I will talk to you very, very soon. You will hear from me very soon. Mwah. I will talk to you later, love. Mwah.